Coming up on OU Nightly, we're tracking cold air coming in, possible first freeze. I'll have the details coming up.
And breaking news, Matt Gaetz withdraws from Attorney General consideration. Hear what he and President-elect Donald Trump are saying. Plus, this holiday season could have a record amount of travelers. How the U.S. Department of Transportation is planning to keep everyone safe. This is OU Nightly.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Abigail Franklin.
And I'm Brooke Griggs. We begin tonight with a big blast of cold air.
That's right. We're talking about a possibility of our first freeze of the season. OU Nightly's meteorologist Scotty Allen joins us live with a first look at the forecast. Scotty.
Yeah, that's right. We had a cold morning this morning, but we warmed up to the 60s. But this cold air is coming down from the north and bringing these freezing temperatures across most of the state. 32 degrees here in Norman, so we got a potential for our first freeze tonight, and across from most of the state, we're looking at freezing temperatures. So coming up in Maine weather, I'll have a look at this first freeze, a warmer weekend possible, and a look at your game day forecast for OU versus Bama.
All right, thanks, Scotty. We'll see you in a bit. Breaking news from Washington, D.C. now. President-elect Donald Trump his pick for Attorney General Matt Gaetz is withdrawing his name from consideration. OU Nightly's Abby Hollingsworth is following this story for us live from the newsroom. Abby, a lot of reaction coming in from D.C.
Yeah, Abigail, the former Florida congressman announced the news on X this morning, saying his confirmation was becoming a distraction to the Trump-Vance transition. Gaetz's withdrawal comes the same day CNN reported the House Ethics Committee learned of what is said to be a second sexual encounter with a 17-year-old girl. Even Republican members of Congress commented they did not see a path forward for Gaetz, with Senator Kevin Cramer from North Dakota saying he didn't think the number of votes needed to confirm Gaetz were there.
Simple math, I think it was made clear that there's not a path, and if there's not a path, you're going to spend a lot of political capital for a losing cause.
In a post on X, Gaetz said while he started out strong, it became a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition. President-elect Trump took to Truth Social in response, saying he was doing very well, but at the same time did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. CNN is reporting that Gaetz announced his withdrawal shortly after the network asked him for comment on the story about the second underage girl. Right now, there's no word on a possible second name for AG by President-elect Trump. Live in the newsroom, Abby Hollingsworth, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Abby. And the war between Russia and Ukraine continues to escalate. Elle Gedman has that and the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
That's right. Russian officials say they hit a Ukrainian city with a new mid-range ballistic missile. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the strike that hit the southeastern part of the country came after Ukraine's use of U.S.-made long-range missiles. U.S. officials say they briefed Ukraine and other allies recently on the Russians' possible use of these weapons to help them prepare. The ICC has issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The two are accused of crimes involving the war in Gaza, and the court alleges inhumane acts, including starvation as a method of warfare. Netanyahu's office says Israel utterly rejects the absurd and false actions and accusations. And a police report reveals the details in the sexual assault allegations against President-elect Donald Trump's defense secretary nominee, Pete Hegseth. A California woman accuses Hegseth of assaulting her 7 years ago. In the 22-page report released late Wednesday, Hegseth claims that the encounter was completely consensual. He has not been criminally charged. And NASA says the International Space Station is leaking more than 3 pounds of air a day. It's been happening since 2019, and NASA is keeping a close eye on it, saying it could have serious consequences. Abigail, Brooke, back to you.
Thanks, Elle. Today, OU students gathered in Fresenius Hall to raise awareness of the conditions Palestinians face. OU Students for Justice in Palestine, and OU Student Socialist League hosted their popular University for Palestine earning event. OU SJP spokesman Abar Hassani helped organize the event.
What we decided was to create a form of alternate lectures and programming for the day. So that meant encouraging students to walk out of class, to boycott their classes, and to come here to listen to a few of our lectures given by professors.
Activities started at 10 a.m. and will continue till 5 tonight. If you're interested in attending future events, visit OUSJP social media accounts to learn more.
In this holiday season, Norman Police Department is offering ways for the community to give back. Norman PD is partnering up with community partners and nonprofits such as the Center for Children and Families to provide families in need this December. The holiday donation drive, Fill the Cruiser, encourages Norman residents to fill up as many police crews as possible with items families may need. Norman PD wants to remember the simple act of giving can go a long way.
If anyone has like a little bit of extra to give this holiday season, being able to purchase a simple toy off of our wish list, it's shipped directly here, it's easy to do, or dropping off some toys if they're out shopping and grabbing a couple items or a package of diapers, the impact is significant.
Donations can be dropped off at the Norman Police Department every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. up until December 16th.
The U.S. Department of Transportation expects record-breaking numbers heading into Thanksgiving. CNN's Lori Aguirre is cracking down on line cutting.
The nation's top transportation and aviation chiefs giving assurances that holiday travel next week will be safe and efficient.
We are ready to ensure passengers can complete the screening process within our established wait times of 30 minutes or less for non-pre-check passengers and 10 minutes or less for pre-check passengers.
Billions of dollars have been awarded to help airports add more check-in counters, build faster security checkpoints, improve baggage claim, make it easier to find your gate.
That extends to the runways, where close calls in a number of cities have made headlines in recent years.
We've also installed approach runway verification systems at more than 74 airport towers. This technology provides audio and visual alerts to controllers if an arriving aircraft is lined up to land on the wrong airport surface.
The FAA is also testing new surveillance systems at some of the nation's busiest airfields, designed to improve situational awareness for air traffic controllers.
Tuesday is forecasted to be our busiest day.
TSA projects around 2.8 million passengers will fly that day. And heads up, if you try to cut the boarding line, American Airlines is unveiling new tech that will sound an alarm if a boarding pass is scanned before its assigned group number is called, and you'll be sent back to your boarding group.
I want to remind everyone that we have a zero tolerance policy for unruly behavior.
Please treat your flight crew with the respect that they deserve.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
TSA encourages travelers to use a new texting feature that will answer travel questions in real time.
And coming up on OU Nightly, a glimmer of hope in the fight against fentanyl.
Find out how new data shows overdoses could be on the decline.
And it might be time to check your spice rack, a new recall issued for your holiday spice.
See why this company is in the hot seat coming up next.
Did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Water is our most precious resource and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here are some water conservation tips you can try. In the kitchen, collect the excess water you use to rinse produce and use it to water houseplants. Also, soak your pots and pans instead of letting the water run while you scrape them. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman.
A teenager's case of bird flu is raising questions on how easily the virus can spread.
That's right. OU Nightly's Savannah Simmons has the impact of the disease in today's Health Beat. Savannah.
Yeah, Brooke, Abigail, scientists say a Canadian teen strain of bird flu is slightly different than ones they've seen before. Researchers say the H5N1 virus showed signs of mutation, suggesting it could spread through human beings. It's not clear how the teen was infected, but say the patient had no known contact with wild birds. And federal data shows overdose deaths dropped nearly 15% for the year in the U.S. The DEA says one factor in that decline is less potent fentanyl pills, showing 5 out of every 10 pills showing lethal doses. The U.S. has also seen increased access to the overdose reversal medication Narcan. And check your pantry, a company is recalling their cinnamon powder over high levels of lead. IHA Beverages Super brand dried cinnamon powder, primarily sold in stores in California, was pulled from shelves after health officials found elevated levels of lead during a routine sampling. At last check, no illnesses have been reported. And what's in your tap water? Scientists say they have discovered a new chemical in tap water that's consumed by 113 million people. Researchers are working to learn if it poses any health risk. Back to you, ladies.
Well, let's hope not. Thanks, Savannah. Still ahead, the OU Food Pantry is providing more than just your next meal on campus.
Now, how this food pantry is preparing to keep staff and students warm during the winter season.
First freeze is on the way. I'll have the details on how you should prepare coming up.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused. A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out the self-doubt and to support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Water is our most precious resource and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here's a water conservation tip you can try. In the bathroom, if your shower can fill a 1-gallon bucket in less than 20 seconds, replace the shower head with a water-efficient one. They are cheap, easy to install, and can save you up to 750 gallons a month. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman. Water is our most precious resource and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here's a water conservation tip you can try. In the bathroom, turn off the water while you brush your teeth. You'll save about 4 gallons per minute. That comes out to about 200 gallons a week for a family of 4. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. As we see outside, we've got sunshine, dry conditions. We're looking at 57 degrees right now, and this has been a shift in the pattern lately as we had records amounts of rain so far this November. We've only passed halfway, and we've had 7.8 inches of rainfall. That's only an inch and a half shy of the all-time record for Oklahoma City in November, and this has really relieved our drought. So as you can see here, most of the state, over half of the state is in abnormal to no drought, and as we were just looking the month ago, we were tracking this was mostly severe to almost extreme drought for most of the state. So this shift in pattern, well, that's because of this cold air from the north. As we see here, looking for Thanksgiving break, we're going to be having this colder temperatures for the 8 to 14 days. So as you go out for Thanksgiving break and come back, this cold air. And we already have seen this cold air arrive as we're looking for tonight. Our temperatures are at freezing, 32 degrees here in Norman, and then we'll be 37 Saturday night. This initial cold front is going to be stalling back, and it'll be warmer for your Saturday into Sunday night for your football game. And then we'll be cooling back down with this cold front and then having this pattern remain as we go through Thanksgiving break and as you come back from break. So with this first freeze, what do you need to do? Well, you're going to need to bring your pets and plants inside. You're going to need to insulate those exposed pipes and set your faucets to drip, as we've had quite a wet November. So we really want to make sure that anything that could be wet will not freeze with these freezing temperatures. Now we'll be warming up for your Friday. So we'll be starting off pretty cold. You're going to need a jacket as you go off to your classes, and then you'll be warming back up into the 50s. But as you notice here, we're going to be starting with winds coming from the north, and then they're going to be switching from winds going to the south. So that's showing that that front's coming through from the north, those Arctic cold winds, and then we'll be getting those warmer, moist winds from the south coming back up. And that will be giving us a nice game day forecast, as we'll be having temperatures in the 60s for Saturday night for OU versus Bama. And then we're only going to be cooling down into the 50s. So it's not going to be freezing for your football game, as that front's going to be going back up. So it should be a beautiful football game. And hopefully the Sooners can pull out a win against that number 7 ranked Alabama. And as we look here for our look ahead, it's going to be nice and warm on Sunday. And those temperatures are going to be going back down to the cold weather as we go looking ahead towards your Thanksgiving break.
All right, looks like a pretty good forecast. It's a colder one, so
yeah,
that's good news. 'Tis the season, right?
Yep, starting to get that winter-like feeling.
Absolutely.
Need to get a coat. All right, well, thank you, Scotty. With winter quickly approaching, it is time to bundle up. As I said, the OU Food Pantry is reminding students and staff that they provide more than just food. Clothing is available for students and staff. The selection ranges from casual wear to shoes, hats, and coats. And as colder weather arrives, their need for winter clothing increases.
We will get more and more students and staff that will stop in these next couple months and say, hey, what winter wear do you have? A great time if people want to donate, especially with the winter months coming up and it's going to be cold. A great way for people to go through their closets if they have an extra coat or something they can spare. We love to put it out here at the pantry.
The pantry asks that acceptable donations include new or lightly used clothing. You can pick up or drop off clothes and food at the pantry in Cates Center. And I heard there was a highly anticipated season debut for the Thunder last night.
Darby, what can you tell us about last night's game?
Well, there was a certain someone that night that was coming back from injury. But speaking of, we got an injury report for you with a tale of 2 receivers from OU football, one labeled as doubtful and the other off the report entirely. What Brent Venables thinks of their performance coming up next.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Water is our most precious resource and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here are some water conservation tips you can try. In the kitchen, collect the excess water you use to rinse produce and use it to water houseplants. Also, soak your pots and pans instead of letting the water run while you scrape them. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman. Did you know that trash, like plastic bottles and fast food wrappers, can carry germs and bacteria? When these items are tossed in the street, they eventually find their way to a river or lake and have a negative impact on aquatic life. Keep our waters clean by putting your trash in the bin. For more information, visit bit.ly/Norman Stormwater.
Hello, I'm Darby McCormick, and it's time for some sports. The latest SEC injury report was released last night, and there are almost triple the amount of OU players out compared to Alabama. But even after 2 wide receivers came back from injury, they didn't do much against Missouri. Deion Burks and Jalil Farooq combined for 7 catches and 55 receiving yards against the Tigers. But going into the weekend, this will be the first time all season that Farooq isn't on the report. Brent Venables recognizes the bumpy start, but is looking forward to the receiver's performance at the end of the season.
They had to knock off a little bit of rust, and certainly the volume, their capacity, their play capacity certainly wasn't what it would normally be. And I thought they did great. You know, I thought they fought their butts off to get back. That was all them. And so really proud of them and the toughness that they showed and the leadership that they showed as well through it all. And I thought that they did a good job.
OU men's basketball will play East Texas A&M tonight at 7. The last time the two have met, 1971. Senior forward Jalen Moore has averaged 22 points 2 out of 3 games, and Porter Moser appreciates the consistency.
Some guys, you know, point guards, they've been a leader their whole life. They've been a captain 10 times on teams over the years. All of a sudden you get maybe a bigger guy thrown into a leadership role. They feel like they got to maybe do more. He doesn't. He's got to have an unbelievable high energy attitude every day. He's got to be the hardest worker in the gym, and he's got to really be great at what he's good at. And he's checking all 3 of those boxes every day.
Sooner women's basketball heads to Sin City for 3 games, starting with UNLV. The first game Friday at 8:30 p.m. UNLV enters with a 4-1 series lead over the Sooners, but is now led by former OU women's basketball graduate assistant Lindy LaRoque. The Sooners round out their time in Las Vegas by playing DePaul and the winner of Duke and Kansas State. And OU fans can get their Sooner magic fill when OU women's gymnastics take the mat during their 2025 regular season. The team meets will be featured 7 times on the ESPN family of networks. 4 of those meets will be inside the LNC. And the OKC Thunder booted the Trailblazers out of the Paycom Center with a 109-99 victory. But the real story was the season debut of Isaiah Hartenstein, who had been out with a left hand fracture. And he did not disappoint, getting a double-double in just 29 minutes of play. Abigail, Brooke.
All right, thanks, Darby. Still ahead. It's never too early to spread some holiday cheer.
Now, hear how a community in Virginia came together to bring one last holiday wish when we return.
There are a lot of temptations facing young people today, like electronic cigarettes and skateboarding. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. This can lead today's youth to a lifelong addiction and severe lung damage. Recall and consider the facts before making a poor decision.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Emma, did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
In Dealey with an update from Moore Public Schools. The district confirms an elementary school counselor has resigned after being accused of allowing a registered sex offender to visit her at Sky Creek Elementary. In a letter sent to families, school officials say Candace Western was immediately suspended and resigned shortly after. Moore Public Schools says the visitor, Jeffrey Mobley, was never alone with students at any time. It is not confirmed if the police investigation into the incident.
Thanks, Madison. Well, just a few states away, Christmas has come earlier than usual for one woman in Virginia.
That's right. She's battling ALS, but her family didn't want time to take away the chance for Tracy to enjoy her favorite holiday.
So her family made a wish, and it was answered when more than 1,000 carolers showed up to spread holiday cheer.
The family says the memories of the Christmas miracle is something they will never forget.
All right, well, thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Abigail Franklin.
And I'm Britt Griggs. Before we sign off for one last time this semester, we want to leave you with a small slice of life here in Norman.
A group gathered at Norman Depot last night to memorialize trans individuals who have died due to transphobia and acts of violence against their community.
OU Nightly photojournalist Cassandra Garrett was there. We leave you tonight with the sights and sounds of the event. Good night.
I think Day of Remembrance challenges us to become the community that we ought to be.
To really remember and honor the transgender individuals that have been lost.
So many trans people have big, bright futures that get destroyed.
We're not in a world where people are able to authentically be themselves without danger, but we can be. And so what I want to tell queer people in Oklahoma is you have control over your life, no matter what.
If you haven't come out of the closet, there's never really been a good time, but it's worth it.
It's very important to show up as a community for trans people. They are other citizens, they are friends, they are family members.
Things are bad and they're going to get worse. And each of us can only muster up so much hope and joy, and maybe together that light can shine a little brighter.